Tropical storm watches are out for the South Texas and northern Mexican coastline as we have a potential tropical cyclone that is expected to become a tropical storm over the next 24 hours. Good Monday evening. I'm Mike Nasa with this 11 p.m. video update Monday night, June 17th, 2024. We're pushing into mid-June now as we get closer and closer towards the busier parts in August and September of what is expected to be a very, very active Atlantic hurricane season. There's the moisture associated with our system over areas there of the Western Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. Now, what the National Hurricane Center started doing a couple of years ago is if there's a system that has not developed a low-level closed circulation center at the surface, making it a tropical cyclone, if it has not done that, but we know it's going to, and we have to issue at least tropical storm watches or warnings, they issue advisories for what they call a potential tropical cyclone. So basically, it's a preemptive advisory before the system develops because it's within the time to where we need watches and warnings. So this is potential tropical cyclone 1, and as of 10 p.m. Central, 11 p.m. Eastern Monday night, they're estimating whatever center there would be near 20.8 north, 93.0 west, which, by the way, is about 450 miles southeast of Brownsville, Texas. Maximum winds are 40 miles per hour, and the pressure recorded by the Air Force is 999 millibars. So if this thing has a closed low-level center, it will jump automatically to a tropical storm. But until it has one, it cannot be called a tropical storm, which by definition is a tropical cyclone. That's why we're calling it potential. So the movement right now is north at 7. Now that should continue for the next 12 to 24 hours before a mid-level high-pressure ridge to the north builds in, and that clockwise, I don't know why I drew my H like that. That's a horrible H. Here. A mid-level high pressure up here, that's a better one, will steer the system back to the west. And it will make landfall, probably on Thursday in northern Mexico, but we do have a tropical storm watch in effect because of the threat of tropical storm winds. That is a tropical storm watch from Port O'Connor, Texas, all the way to the border, and then south into northern Mexico. And these winds of tropical storm force extend to the northeast of wherever that center is by 290 to 300 miles. So that is a very, very big area of wind. Here's another look at the satellite. Again, they're estimating that the center would be in here, but this is all part of a gyre, a very large tropical gyre down here. We get them all the time in areas of Central America, the Caribbean, and they cause a lot of heavy rainfall and flooding. But if they get over water and they tighten up enough with the center, they can become tropical storms and hurricanes. And that's what we're watching this one as it moves off towards the northwest and then eventually bends back towards the west. The upper level winds look very favorable right over the top of it because it has that anticyclonic flow, and that is why it has that dramatic look to it, that kind of menacing hurricane shape. But overall conditions are not extremely favorable for development. It still does have some higher wind shear in areas there of the western Gulf of Mexico. As I mentioned, the wind field extends about 290 miles to the northeast. That's a lot of tropical storm winds out there, up to 40 miles per hour with higher gusts. And all of this is going to slam into the coast. So if the system makes landfall north of Tampico, Mexico, you could still have areas 300 miles to the north receiving tropical storm winds. That's why South Texas, from Port O'Connor all the way down to areas there of Padre Island, you guys are under a tropical storm watch, and that'll likely become a tropical storm warning as landfall gets closer. With those winds, we will have some water rises 2 to 4 feet from Sargent to Sabine Pass, and 1 to 3 feet south to the mouth of the Rio Grande and on off east towards Vermilion and Cameron Parish in Louisiana. But the big threat is rainfall. Now, this is an experimental rainfall forecast, and this is for areas there of Central America and El Salvador. You're talking 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 inches of rain, and that could cause devastating mudslides and flash flooding, and that includes areas there in Nicaragua, Honduras, Guatemala, Belize, the Yucatan, all the way over there until we get landfall along the North Mexican coastline. You guys will get 8, 10, 12 inches of rain or more, and that could cause a very serious flood threat. For Texas, same type of deal here, from Laredo all the way to Houston, from Junction all the way to Corpus. You guys are likely to have heavy rainfall, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 inches of rain, and that will cause a flood threat. And again, like I said, if the system makes landfall where I drew that X, it's still very large and spiraling, and a lot of the rainfall will be lopsided. This is not going to be a tightly coiled, well-organized system. Certainly not a hurricane, we don't think. Probably just a minimal to moderate tropical storm. But it is not the intensity that matters when it comes to rainfall. It's the size and how fast it's moving. And 7 miles per hour right now ain't that fast. The flood threat, again, San Antonio, Corpus, Houston, a good chunk there of the mid-Texas coast. By Wednesday and Thursday, you guys need to be ready. Now, elsewhere in the tropics, this system ain't the only game in town. We have a feature of cloudiness and thunderstorms a few hundred miles east of the Bahamas, and that's associated with a surface trough and an upper area of low pressure. There is some indication that it might try and develop and move towards areas there of the southeastern U.S., but it's a low chance. Over the next week, only 20%. Now, if you look and you go, well, what's this yellow where our system is in the Gulf? That's another disturbance that is forecast to develop over the weekend. So through the next 7 days, we have a 20% chance there of a secondary system just like the one we're dealing with now. So if all three develop, that would be A, B, and C. Right now, I don't think the system in the Atlantic has a good shot. This one will almost certainly be a tropical storm. Once it develops a center, winds are already there, it'll be named, and then we'll watch and see if another system develops behind it. We get this sometimes earlier in the season. We get these little, I call them name wasters, to where we'll have Alberto with this storm, and the next name is Burl, and after that is Chris. And that's why by the time we usually get into the heart of the big bad hurricanes, half the time, most of the time, they get the I name, because by then we're way down to the 8th, 9th, 10th named storm of the year. In busy seasons like 2005, by the end of August, we had Katrina. We were way down in the K name by then. So we'll wait and see what happens, but again, it gives us something to track as we dust off the old hurricane maps just in time for what is expected to be a very busy hurricane season. Look at this system. That is a very large area. I mean, from the eastern Pacific all the way through the western Caribbean, all the way into the southern United States. A very large spiraling area of moisture. Again, the flood threat and the tropical storm threat, South Texas and northern Mexico. We'll watch it. It should get the name Alberto over the next 24 hours, move north, then northwest, and then bend back west as that high pressure moves in. And we'll watch our area here to the east of the Bahamas, just in case that does anything. And we'll keep an eye on this region because we should have a secondary system in a few days follow in this one's footsteps. So again, prepare yourself for some heavy rain, wet weather, flood potential from Central America through Mexico into Texas, and we will keep an eye on this system. I'm Mike Nasel with the latest on the tropics, and I'll talk to you guys next time.